Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Unsecurity Podcast, episode 195 today. I'm your host, Oscar Minks, and with me is the always wonderful Brad Nye. Hey, Brad, how are you today?
Uh, I'm cold, but other than that, had a good break, unplugged
Nice.
from everything for about 2 weeks. I feel totally refreshed. I was well past due.
Heck yeah. Well deserved, man, and we all need that. It's so important. We talk about mental health and work life balance and all those things a lot here. And, it's funny. I totally unplugged. I didn't get as long as you did. I was happy you got to take a few extra days. But I still got like a week to unplug.
Yeah,
And I checked in on email. I caught myself a couple times just out of habit, like kind of getting into the groove and doing a little bit of work. And I was like, you know what? No, everything's going to be fine. If something's on fire, I'm going to hear about it, right? And I'm going to
yep,
respond to that. And so it really took me like half the week to get in the habit of being like, okay, I'm not going to do any work today. But then the second half of the week was really awesome to just unplug. And when I came back to work on Tuesday, it's kind of funny at first. I was laughing with Eric, and it was like, when you get that full unplug, it feels really good. Your brain relaxes, and then you come back to work, and you're like, wait, what do I do? Is everything? What's my job
yeah,
here?
yeah. I actually uninstalled Outlook from my phone to make sure I wouldn't be tempted,
Yeah,
and it worked. But yeah, I took a couple days before we left, and then a couple days after we got back, on top of the actual trip, and it was nice to just do that. But then yeah, Wednesday I was like deer in the headlights with like I had client meetings and all I was like, oh my god.
yeah,
This morning I'm just like, it's only can we have the weekend?
yeah. Well, the weekend's almost here again,
Yeah,
but yeah, it was kind of the same thing. Tuesday, actually. So you were still out Tuesday, right? And Tuesday was a nice ramp up day. We were busy, but it was a good busy. And then yeah, kind of like Wednesday when you got back, I felt like it was 100 miles an hour, full speed ahead again. And but it was all good, man. That break was it's really nice to just kind of reset the brain, and you don't realize how attached we are until you do that. I know for me
yep,
personally, right? Because like normal days, um, I'm still checking email, responding to messages, and things like that all the way until I go to bed. And then even as soon as I get up in the morning, like even
mhm,
before I get out of bed, like I'm doing emails, I'm looking to see if I've missed anything, researching news for the week and things
yep,
like that. And so we're really plugged in almost all of our waking hours. And so breaking that habit's hard when we get a short
yeah,
window. But I encourage everybody like who's in our field, it's really good for the mind to get that total unplug, get that
yeah.
refresh.
We actually locked all our phones. So we went to the beach a couple of times, and I brought my phone just because we want to get pictures,
Right.
right? For like meals, or we went to like a show on Christmas Eve. Nobody brought their phones except one person who was a designated camera person, and that's the only thing
Yeah.
that the phone was allowed to be used for.
Yeah. That was
And
very cool.
yeah, it was a little weird the first time we went to the pool and I didn't have my phone. I was like, no, no, that's right, it's okay.
Same thing happened to me. Like, so I went to spend some time in North Georgia and southwestern North Carolina, and was fishing, and I'm like in the middle of the woods, this creek, and then I kind of have that like, oh wait, where's my phone? And I'd purposely locked it in the car, turned it off, put it in the glove box, and locked it up so I wouldn't even think about it. And I was like,
Yeah,
wait, I don't have it. Actually, this is awesome. I don't have to worry about anything.
yeah,
So
yeah. So yeah, that was good though. Yeah, we'll I'm definitely gonna take advantage and you don't. I think what I didn't realize is prior to the pandemic, I would take a 4 day week, yeah, or a
mhm.
4 day weekend, right here or there, several times throughout the year, and that was enough. But with the pandemic, I wasn't. You weren't doing that because everything was closed.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're gonna make up for some lost time on travel, I think.
Good. Yeah, I think you guys should do that. And like the 4 day weekends too, it's still like I do that like throughout the year. I'll try to
Hmm.
strategically like find some long weekends to go fish or hit the woods or something like that. But even that time period, like unless I'm out of service, I'm still plugged in. Even if I'm technically taking off work, I'm
Right.
still going to be plugged in and thinking about it. And so, um, yeah, it was really nice to get that break. We spent some time like over in the mountains. A lot of fishing, which was fun. I actually caught all the cool kids today say your PB, your personal best.
Nice.
Caught my personal best brown trout while we were over there this weekend, about a 26, 27-inch brown trout who weighed in at around 8 pounds. And I was super ecstatic with that. So that kind of made my whole week. It was
That's
fantastic.
awesome. I heard
Yeah.
Mike Kennedy's was just slightly larger though. He was
I don't
100.
know. I sent him the picture and we kind of had a laugh, and he didn't tell me his was bigger this time, so I don't know.
Oh, funny ongoing joke with you two.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope Michael's doing okay. We've chatted a little bit. He actually had some medical stuff going on, I think just before the holidays, but I think he's back on his feet and doing good now. So if Michael, if you're listening, man, I hope you're having a speedy recovery and getting back to 100%. And also I'm trying to talk him in, so I went up and spent a little time with him, last year in 22 in the fall, and so telling him when he's back on his feet and feeling good again, come down my way and I'll take him to find some real fishing.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, yeah, super cool, man. So new year, I'm excited, so excited about the year. That's the other good thing about that break is like, come back in feeling refreshed and motivated, and really ready to put the foot on the gas. And it seems like a lot of folks I've talked to on our team, have shared that same sentiment. People feel energized, motivated, and ready to go. And so I'm super excited about the year, man. How about yourself?
Yeah. No, I think it's going to be great. We did a lot of really good stuff and ramped up and last year and I really am excited about our business strategy. You know, we'll go into the details, but like some of the stuff that we've got in place is going to make huge differences, I think. And
Oh
it's
yeah,
it's those things that yeah, we've kind of been pushing it down the road, and now it's like, all right, now it's time to focus on some of this stuff and really tighten it up. So I'm
yeah.
excited. There's going to be a lot of growth.
There's gonna be a
Uh,
lot of great things, man. Just looking at like everything we've already got moving for improvements to our services, identifying new services that need to be filled, and developing, the project tops and getting together the capabilities for those is super exciting. And then like working with our R&D stuff right now too. Man, we've got some super exciting stuff in the pipeline right now, and I think it's gonna be a great year for FRSecure, and I think we're gonna really kind of keep pushing the bar, man. Try to fix the broken industry here, and I'm just so excited when I look at our initiatives, like
mhm.
how in line we are with staying true to our core, true to our mission, and really trying to impact the industry and fix the industry.
Yep, I'm with you.
Yeah, yeah. So new year. How about you? Any resolutions? Do you have any personal resolutions?
I gave up on that because I never followed through.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
joke, right? No, you know, I think we were talking right before this that my wife finished her bachelor's degree in December, uh, bachelor of nursing, and so that kind of inspired me to pick up some of that education that has been. We've been so busy for the last 5 or 6 years that
Hmm.
it really hasn't been something that we've been able to focus on as much personally educating it. Like we still do the mentor program and all that, but yeah,
Yeah,
doing some additional training and really trying to level up skills is something I want to work on. Um,
nice.
just
Yeah,
yeah,
super cool.
it's,
Do, do you have any specific skill that you want to focus on this year?
there's a couple I think I'm gonna be able to knock out pretty easily, but yeah, I'm gonna force myself to really get into more of the coding, with
Hmm.
Python and some of that and automating some of that stuff, just because that's the one area that I never really enjoyed because
Hmm.
PowerShell, I love that because, hey, I'm an admin, I can use it. So
Hmm.
how do I make myself learn Python in a way that is beneficial? So it almost kind of goes, to that R&D type thought process of like, all right, what can I do to motivate myself for this? What can I put as an end goal that's going to be, you know, a positive in the long
Hmm.
run?
Yeah, yeah, it's super cool, man. And you bought that no starch
Yep.
press bundle, right, with all the Python books, so you got the materials. It's
Yeah,
got to roll. Yeah.
I've read through a couple of them, and it's one of those things where I'm just like, oh my god, Python.
Hmm.
Coding is just not my. But
Did
I
you
know.
get? I think one of those books is like scenario driven, right? Where they give you a
Mhm.
scenario and you go create
Yep.
the code. I think those are a little more fun, right? Than just kind of
Yep.
following the step by step. Like, hey, let me try to solve the problem first and see how far I can get on my own, and then go back and reference my materials to try to
The,
complete that project.
the one that really got me like actually doing some stuff was the impractical Python,
Hmm.
where it's like, hey, I'm going to simulate a volcano on Io, uh, Jupiter's moon.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
there's no practical use for that, but it was like, oh, that's kind of cool to see, but it teaches you the fundamentals behind it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So and then we've got the new training solution. They've got some good stuff in there and labs and stuff. So
Hmm.
yeah, I think I'll be able to get some pretty cool stuff
Very cool.
together there.
Nice. Nice. I think personally for me, resolution. I actually kind of started my resolution before the end of the year, just trying to like take care of my body a little better, um, and I mean eating healthier, getting more of a good exercise regime together and stuff like that. And so, I actually started that up in December. And
Nice.
was doing really good before the holiday, and then the holiday break came, and it was like, total unplug of everything. We'll get back at that in the new year. And so I've been a little slow getting back to it this week, but that's okay. You got to give yourself a little grace sometimes too. And my thoughts, and I was talking to my wife about this last night. I was like, that's okay. I'm gonna get back on the train. Work was busy, and so that was a
Hmm.
little disruptive. And so I'll give myself this week, and then hopefully trying to hit that again full steam, going back into it this weekend, and just kind of working on my personal health, which I think greatly affects our mental health too, right?
Hmm.
And overall, I just kind of want to try to focus on retaining positive physical health and mental health personally throughout the years. My number one goal. Then outside of that, like within specific, our industry goals, I've had a couple ideas for books that I wanted to get started on. And last year I got my outlines together and things like that, but I never actually really buckled down and started creating the content. And so this year, I don't want to commit to saying I'm going to complete the book this year, but I'm at least going to start writing that book this year, and hopefully be able to get something out maybe this year. I don't know. Maybe I'm extra eager, but my goal is to actually start writing it and make significant progress throughout the year.
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah.
Your guitar behind you made me think of this. My middle daughter found my guitar and was like, I want to learn how to play. So she's
Nice.
been doing that. I was like, I should probably pick that back up too. If she's gonna play, I haven't really played it for a couple years, and so
Yeah.
I'll do that too. There you
Yeah,
go.
you should pick it up, man. It's always good for the soul. I think that everybody that listens probably knows I really love fishing, been in the woods and on the water. But my other love is playing music, and for me, it's therapeutic, man. Same reasons I
Hmm.
love fishing, same reasons I love being in isolation in the woods, the same reasons I love playing music, because it kind of like it's a mind eraser, right? And you
Yeah,
can
you
go in
zone out.
carrying stress. Yeah, you zone out. You're only thinking about one thing, and it feels so good to be able to create music, especially creating music with friends too. Get some buddies, some jam buddies, and get together once a week and make music. It's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah, heck yeah. So yeah, it's so kind of extending the idea of the New Year's resolutions. I think we got a newsletter that's going out. We're recording this on Friday, January the 6th. I believe it's going out today, so probably have that before you hear this, I would assume. But we put a couple things on there, and I was going to kind of hit those real quick, and then I'm sure there's other things, and that's kind of what I say, like in the email, like this isn't everything, right? But here's some ideas for your New Year's information security resolutions, right? And so this is an opportunity for everybody. Like we're talking about ourselves personally. What are our personal resolutions? But also like what are those resolutions for your business? Let's start thinking about that really, and what can we do better this year that we didn't do as good last year, and that's okay. But let's take steps in the right direction. So my first one, I bet Brad will never ever guess this, was multi-factor authentication for everything.
I was gonna say either multi-factor or like vulnerability management. It was one of the
Yeah,
two.
yeah.
Uh,
um, yeah. So that was the first one. Let's get that multi-factor rolled out to all your systems this year. Come on, you got it. Um, and these weren't in any particular order. I think they're all very important, right? It was just a list of things that are like, here's some ideas for you. Um, the second one, and really this was on my mind because of LastPass, which I wanted to chat about a little bit today, is implementing strong passwords for all your accounts, and don't reuse those passwords. How about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and that kind of leads in perfectly to like talking about LastPass. I'm not sure if all of our listeners have been aware of the LastPass breaches, I guess we could say, over the last year, and the most recent incident that they had in December. But essentially, LastPass has admitted at this point, right, all of our user password vaults were stolen. They were
Yep.
exfiltrated.
Yep.
And at this point, so what that means for our listeners is if you're using LastPass, there's a very good chance the attacker has your LastPass vault right now. Um, I don't know that we've seen those vaults go for sale yet on the dark web. I don't think they have, but they're
I haven't
probably
seen anything.
moving around and those dark spaces. I mean, essentially, if you have a password that could be cracked, um, then your vault could be cracked, right?
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing: LastPass, I get it. They're going to be a juicy target for everyone. They
Right.
house password
Right.
data for a lot of organizations. That's a juicy target. Um, Now, the reality too is, like, kind of if we go back and we talk about like the proxy logon stuff when that was happening, and we've seen spray and pray initiative from attackers. Where, hey, let's compromise everything in the world. Let's get a foothold in everything in the world. And then what happens is they go back and reprioritize those compromised assets
Mm-hmm.
and figure a plan of attack to get into them. And so I do think that that buys us a little time, depending on which organization you're with, right? There's probably going to be juicier vaults right now that those
Oh
attackers are going
yeah.
to be working to either monetize and sell those, or either to crack those vaults. Now, that being said, um, they're going to be trying to crack all of these vaults, and so if you have a good, strong password that's not crackable or doesn't already exist in password lists, right? Because we see that and we talk about that, right, Brad?
Mm-hmm.
It's like a complex password doesn't necessarily equate to a secure password.
Right.
An example, summer, actually winter 2023 exclamation point with a capital W. That's going to meet your complexity requirements. That's going to get cracked in about 5 minutes.
Right.
And so if you have strong passwords, that's good. If you didn't have strong passwords, I'd be worrying a whole lot right now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, realistically, this makes me guess, second guess, the usage of LastPass. And I know we've been proponents of LastPass. We've talked about that as a good vault
Yeah.
before and kind of said it doesn't really matter, just use a vault. And at this point, with their pitiful performance in securing their users' data over the last year, um, I can no longer recommend that product to anyone.
And I've used it for over a decade, and it's like, oh my gosh, what? No,
Hmm.
it's it's the response hasn't been phenomenal either. That's been
Right.
another. It's like, well, hemming and hawing and
Yeah.
proprietary, and it's like, no, you do owe us more than that at this point.
For sure. Yeah, I feel like they're kind of sidestepping the whole situation. Well, it's not really that big of a deal. Those vaults are encrypted, and you all had good passwords, didn't you? So it's going to be tough to get into your vaults. Like,
Mhm.
come on, that's bullshit. That's total
Right,
bullshit.
right,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I'm really disappointed.
So for users though, like, if you're an admin of your organization's LastPass right now, hopefully you guys had that password complexity to the highest level. You've trained your users as well on how to essentially create secure passwords. Um, what else would you recommend, Brad? I know you have a couple other ideas too.
Yeah, making sure you got multi-factor, and it goes back to your first point, and multi-factor on everything. Because if they do
Hmm.
get it, your multi-factor is going to be probably
Yeah.
your saving grace.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, change your master password, and then prioritize those accounts in your password vault that maybe are going to be like, if I had my bank account in there, oh, I would sure be changing that right now. Credit
Hmm.
cards, things like that, healthcare. Do I really is my Washington Post subscription a priority? No, that's going to be down the line. So
Hmm.
looking at what passwords you have and prioritizing those, and just you're gonna have to start changing them. That's
Yeah.
at
That's
the
the
end of the day.
unfortunate reality, right? And oh my gosh, when I look at my vault and how many things I have in my vault,
I'll
it's
cry.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming. Yeah, a tear comes to my eye. But exactly what you said, Brad. That's the way to approach it. Like, look at those critical accounts you have in there that you can't afford to allow that secondary access to. Reset those. Like Brad said, MFA is critical. Back to our first point. MFA everything.
Yep. And
Yeah,
pray.
I will say too. I mean, they're all are alternatives, and I'm not recommending any of these, but you can look at those: One Password, Keeper, Bitwarden,
Yep.
NordPass,
Vaccine.
Dashlane. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a bunch. So you can check all those out. In the meantime, I'd probably start resetting some passwords. Make sure you have a super secure master password. It was funny. I was telling Brad this before the show, but I was chatting with my wife about this last night, and she's like, "Nobody's getting my master password." I'm like, "How long is your master password?" She's like, "65 characters." I'm like,
Nice.
"Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
kudos. You get mad respect from me on that today."
Yep.
So,
That's that's good.
yeah,
As long as it's
yeah,
not just all ones.
yeah. No, it's
Just
not.
multiple ones count.
Yeah, even though that would be pretty tough to crack.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. So kind of boogieing along on the New Year's information security resolutions. The next one is let's go ahead and implement that air-gapped backup solutions for all of your critical data.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about that till I think we're blue in the face last year, right? And I think a lot of people still struggle with that. It's funny the looks that I get when I talk to people about that, and then they say, "Oh, you mean like
It's
LTO
immutable.
tapes?" Yeah, but it's immutable, right? Yeah, it's immutable until whoever controls that
And,
policy on that data's
yep.
account is
Right. Exactly.
compromised.
Get the
So
admin access. And
yeah, exactly.
but yeah,
Um,
tapes. It's funny. You know, people are like, "Oh my God, tapes," but they work. They just work.
mhm, they
That
do,
doesn't mean that's your only backup. We always did backup
right?
to disk locally and then drop that
Hmm.
to tape for offsite. So if you had to restore, you had a local copy for quick. But
Hmm.
it just works.
It has worked for a long time. It still works, and it's going to continue to work, right?
Yeah.
And and we're not saying here too you can't have those local backups for quick data recovery when you need that. To Brad's point, but as a secondary backup, like getting that data to tape or offline disk,
Hmm.
it's usually, I mean, it's not overly complex. There is manual work typically involved. But at the end of the day, the level of peace of mind and security you have for your data should far outweigh
Yeah.
the cost and the effort to do so.
Well, and tape libraries and backup drives and stuff, the tapes themselves, it's not expensive. And the
No,
scheme of things, it
yeah.
saves you from one ransomware. You're ahead
Hmm.
significantly.
Yeah, and to look at like LTO now and the volume of data you can store on a tape is quite absurd. So
Yeah.
it's not, it shouldn't be very cost prohibitive for most people.
No.
So the next thing, and these are all things we've talked about a lot. It's just kind of fun to put these in the list I had was finish up that system inventory. And I
Hmm.
think this goes back to vulnerability management, which is kind of your first guess. But I always still think about how like you can't have a good vulnerability management program if you
Right.
don't have a good system inventory. So let's start with that system inventory, then let's start assessing that system inventory.
Yep.
Yeah, and I would
Yep.
urge people to like focus on your external assets first. Let's start there because it's really surprising how many organizations that don't have a good handle on their external inventory, right? And we find
Hmm.
systems that they thought were shut down that are still active,
Right.
outdated systems, sites that are broken, but they're still accessible from the internet because they didn't
Right.
actually decommission those systems, or they did decom it and there was a miscommunication and sysadmin powered it back on later, right?
So it
And
got hacked.
so, yeah. So really, like, let's start the external posture, look at all the assets that you have available. When you do that inventory too, then like, let's really scrutinize those things, right? Do they need to be available to the public? Do they not? Do they have a public login available? If they do, back to number one. Does it have MFA on it? If it doesn't, it better have MFA
Yep.
on there, and taking down all those unnecessary services and exposed ports that you may have today.
Yep. And the nice thing with that, obviously, yeah, external is big, but internally, there's free tools that you can use. It's not
Hmm.
that will do auto discover. This is not a cost prohibitive thing to go after. I mean, even if
No,
you use like Nmap, at least you know
exactly.
what's there. There's other tools that will get you far more information, but there's not an excuse. There's not a cost behind this that is like, oh, well, cost prohibitive. No, it's free.
Yeah.
You have to do
Run
it.
an mmap scan, store it in a spreadsheet, script that scan to run once a week. Literally
Yeah.
take 15 minutes to review it each week and see if anything has changed.
Yeah. Yeah. The other one I used it in the prior life was Spiceworks, and it has a bunch of other stuff, but it'll run. It'll tell you what's actually installed on all your systems, and it'll alert you automatically if it finds new
Mm-hmm.
software or new systems. It again, two totally free options. Just
Right.
go do something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. And if you guys are listening and confused on how to do this too, hit us up. We'll be glad to help. And this is something like we can just give you free advice on that, and you can take it and run with yourself, and hopefully be able to develop a good inventory on your own, because it's really a fundamental building block to having a good information security posture. Period.
Yep, 100%.
Yep. All right, and then the next one, boogieing on down the list here, which should come to no surprise to anyone listening, is draft an incident response plan and test it too.
What? I have to test?
Yeah, test that plan. And shameless plug here, but we do have a free incident response plan template. It's not behind a paywall. It's not behind any sort of wall at all. You can get that for free. It's awesome. It really is an awesome plan. And yeah, you get that for free. Draft your plan, and the testing is the most important thing though, because what the hell good does a plan do when it's sitting on a SharePoint site somewhere, and all the parties who are involved have responsibilities? They have no idea what their responsibilities are, where the plan exists, and you don't even know that your responsible parties are the right parties for those different activities until you go through a
Right.
test, right?
Yep.
And like
And,
one of my favorite sayings is the worst time to test your incident response plan is in the middle of an incident. So let's do that beforehand.
yep. And in the first, I'm going to step away to see what's going on outside real quick. Keep going, Oscar.
All right, all right. So yeah, Brad had some. I heard his dogs barking. I think he's got a pretty lively household at the moment. He had to step away. But anyway, yeah, let's just test the plan. I think that there's a lot of ways that you can do that. I mean, we do offer tabletop services that we can help out with. Um, but there are other, kind of low key tabletop guides online that you can find and kind of go through for free on your own. Now, they're not going to be as good as having an incident response manager who works cases every day, be able to come in and guide you through. But like, hey, something's better than nothing. Let's start there as you try to develop the plan,
Yep.
and then pull in the professionals when you really get to the point where you feel like you're comfortable enough that, or you're ready to take that step. But I think it's important.
Yeah. The best part is there was nothing. I had no idea what they were going crazy about. This 861 Appendix B, A or B, I can't remember, has some good starting points if
Mm-hmm.
you've never done anything.
Yep.
So,
Yeah, and I will tell folks like the difference between doing a self-ran tabletop and hiring someone is like literally when you hire us, you're going to get someone who's working cases every week, right? This is what they're
mm-hmm.
doing. So they see the ins and the outs. They really understand the kill chain. They really understand different environments and how threat actors are able to navigate those environments, right? And so they're good at thinking on the fly. I've been able to give you real world scenarios that are very applicable that you've probably never been exposed to. I know that happens a lot when, the guys will throw an inject in. It's like, well, that's not possible. And it's like, well, we've seen it in 6 cases in the last 6 months. So it's
Yeah.
totally possible.
Yeah. I actually worked it, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
right. And so it's going to be a good learning opportunity for everyone involved.
Yeah.
All right. And the final thing I had on my list is just lead by example, you know, and I think that we talk about how security isn't one person's responsibility, it's
Mm-hmm.
all of our responsibilities. And so I therefore do believe it is all of our responsibilities to set a good example in practicing the things that we preach, helping those around us, and really trying to impact the culture positively through our own actions and operating in a secure method and manner.
Yeah. So you're saying not be like certain companies that didn't patch. and
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, we can say that company's name. I think I don't have a problem with it at all because honestly, that was my jaw dropped. So we're talking about Rackspace, and then we did
right.
mention Rackspace here a couple episodes ago. So for those who may not remember, Rackspace suffered a ransom attack. Their hosted exchange environment is like 30,000 clients. Those were all ransomed. Guess what? That host exchange environment is still not online today. And they've even
No,
said, we're not bringing it back online. We're done. Everybody's got to migrate to the cloud, which, I don't oppose that. But the thing that like my mouth dropped is when I learned that they said, nope, we didn't apply the patches. Okay. For anyone who's worked these cases in the last 2 years, we know you need to get those patches out. And like we've told everybody, there were multiple patch chains for these, right? It wasn't just one. Let's stay diligent, keep an eye on it because those patches were being circumvented and so on. But they didn't apply the patches. And then they go on to kind of point the finger at Microsoft, right? And they
right.
say, well, this happened because, Microsoft, they told us it was a privilege escalation vulnerability, but they didn't say it was a remote code execution vulnerability. My mind is blown. Like, what in what world did you not understand that could be an assumption as part of this kill chain, because we've only seen it a million times in the
Right.
last 2 years.
Well, gee, hey, they've got full admin on your device. Yeah, they're going to be able to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, like we've talked about in most contexts, is those exchange services are running a system, right? And
Mhm.
so they're able to abuse that system privilege. Like hell yeah, they're going to be able to run remote code. We've only seen it in every single case that we've worked related to these attacks. So head in the sand security is bullshit, man. And I believe right now that that's what Rackspace is doing, right? Like, not our fault, not our fault. Let's put our head back in the
Hey,
sand.
we
This is
had
actually Microsoft's
mitigation.
fault.
Yep.
Yeah,
We had the
yeah.
mitigation. Yeah. They're definitely
And
not handled properly, in my opinion.
no, and I'm not saying either that there shouldn't be somewhat of a finger pointed to Microsoft at this point because of how problematic these exchange services have been in the last couple of years. So that shows some true holes in
Right.
their AppSec, right? I get that, but on the flip side here too, as a practitioner. When the proxy not log on happened, we'd seen this so much, we knew what we had to do. We told everybody on these calls, here's
Right.
what you have to do. And for some reason, Rackspace, who is a huge provider, didn't get that memo, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. I said they're not going to rebuild it, and they're already on
Hmm.
track to migrate to 365 before the incident.
And then the,
Well,
the the other problem too, like, okay, 30,000 hosted exchange environments were affected.
mhm,
30,000. And Rackspace is coming out, who totally didn't understand they were supposed to patch, but apparently they're extremely confident that only 27 PST files were exfiltrated during the attack. They can't even get the servers back online to forensicate them. So how are they so certain only 27 PST files traverse that network on the way out? To me, again, I put absolutely zero trust in that statement. It sounds like a hot load of garbage.
yeah. Well, and it's a recovered data is available for download via the customer portal. Quote from Rackspace: less than 5% of these customers have actually downloaded the mailboxes we made available. This indicates to us that many of our customers have backed up locally archived or otherwise have the data backed up locally or archived and don't need historical data. So wait, now you're blaming your customers for this? Like,
It kind of sounds like that.
it's not so bad because only 5% needed it. Wait, how does that make sense?
What? Right. Oh man. Not a good look, Rackspace. Sorry. Um, and yeah, sorry to any of our listeners who are clients and had to deal with this, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Let's close the show on a couple good news cases. What do you think,
Yeah,
man?
I like it. So the one that I sent over to you is Bitdefender partnered with international law enforcement and just released. They released earlier this year Locker Goga decryptor, and they just released Mega Cortex decryptor.
Nice.
So yeah, if you get hit by that, you can now download those decryptors and tell the
Yeah.
ransom gangs to bug off.
And also important too, right? So for folks, and we talk about this, right? If you have a ransom, you're able to recover without negotiating, which is always the path that we recommend, but save that data, right? This is why we tell you to save the data right
Mm-hmm.
here, because you never know when something may happen and those decryptors may become available and you can decrypt all of your
Now you
data.
can get your stuff. Yep.
Yep. So, and other good news, I don't know how many people seen this, but maybe a sign of good faith from a threat actor group. I don't know, but so there was a Toronto-based children's hospital, sick kids that were encrypted sometime just before the holidays, and Lockbit ransomware group actually said, "Hey, my bad. We're sorry. We didn't mean to do this. Here's the decryptors." And so they actually gave the decryptors to the children's hospitals so they could decrypt all their information and resume operations. Um, I, you know, I think we probably know why they did that. And as shitty as most threat actor groups are, and even Lockbit, like I was happy to see they had a heart there. Honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
we can't impact human lives in this space, and that's the scariest thing. One of the scariest things for us that are practitioners is when we see the threat actors move into that landscape where we're significantly impacting human lives on a daily basis, and especially children's lives. And
Right.
so I was really, I don't know, just happy to see they did that. They still
Yeah.
suck, but at the end of the day, I'm happy they actually stepped back and apologized.
Oh, absolutely. And unfortunately, it is it's selfish on them because, hey, if you start getting in there as you're hurting kids or you're impacting this,
Hmm.
there's going to be a lot more pressure to go after you. So if they can come in,
Oh
it's
yeah,
almost a little bit of a good PR move of, hey, that's not what we want to do.
yeah,
We're
right.
just going to go encrypt this private company and charge them a couple $100,000.
Exactly. Exactly. So, at least we had a couple positive
Hey,
pieces of news to
good.
end on. Yeah.
I like
It's
it.
not all doom and gloom over here. It's a new year, baby. It's going to be awesome. So, any kudos, shout outs today?
Yeah, no, I'm going to give a shout out to my wife for plugging through and getting her associates to bachelor's in nursing. Finished it up December 21st, I think.
Nice. Hey, I'm going to give a shout out to Katie too today. I love that. Super awesome. Congratulations, Katie. I know Brad's super proud of you. That's fantastic. And way to
Yeah,
go.
a
Yeah.
lot of weight off her shoulders. She was very
Yeah.
relieved to get that done and get the
Yeah, man.
final notice.
She deserves a lot of kudos. Like working full time, taking care of kids, and going to school. Man, that is
Mm-hmm.
that's a hard working
And
lady.
putting up with me. That's the worst
Yeah,
part.
and putting up with Brad. Yeah, yeah. So she gets extra kudos for that. Way to
I
go,
mean,
Katie.
she had our 20th anniversary, so like I don't know what's wrong with her.
Yeah, congratulations on 20, man. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
That's a great monument, and you guys seem like you're super happy, and your relationship is as strong as ever. So that's a big kudos and a big congratulations, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep, heck yeah. All right. I think that's it for the week. Thanks for joining us, everybody. We will talk again soon. Happy New Year to everybody, and stay safe.